Welcome back to Route 40 Rust, and today we're going to rebuild this Motorcraft 2100 carburetor and show you that you don't need to go on the WuhanWrenches.com or Amazon or wherever you get these things and get these fancy imported intergalactic international carburetors and throw them on your old rigs, when you can go to junkyard, rip one off some old Betty there, rebuild it for $35, $45 and make it purr just like this. When you're dealing with 70s, maybe late 60s, early 80s Fords and Jeeps, probably encounter these Motorcraft 2100, 2150s. It's a 2-barrel carburetor. See here, I think Ford owned Autolite for a long time, and at one point the government said no. It was a monopoly issue. They just had the market on stuff, and I think it made spark plugs and all sorts of stuff and what have you nots, and so Ford had to sell it off. But for a while you'll see these carbs stamped Motorcraft or Autolite. The models are 2100s and 2150s. There's some debate on how you can tell the difference between the two, and that really doesn't matter. It's almost the exact same carburetor, and for street stuff you really won't know the difference from one from the other. And real quick, we'll discuss the differences. These are just two junk carbs that, you know, probably been on fire or underwater, or I've taken apart and robbed for stuff like bigger jets or whatever, just snooping around in them. So without really getting into them, the biggest difference between a Motorcraft Autolite 2100 and a 2150 is by glance, and this will be the front of the engine where the accelerator pump is and your fuel inlet is. But on the back side you can see that's curved like a horseshoe. That's telltale sign it's a 2100. And if they're flat on the back, that's a sign it's a 2150. Another thing that people talk about, and get this off, so drop it, is that the 2150, not always, but can come with a 2-stage power valve. That looks like a single-stage power valve, and this 2100 has a single-stage power valve. We'll talk about more about what those do. There's a terrarium in there. We talk about what these do when we dig into the one we need to rebuild. Like I said, you can't go off that alone, because I guess you could put a deeper power valve bowl on a 2100 if you, for whatever reason, needed a 2-stage. And so maybe the saying is, no 2100 will ever have a 2-stage from the factory, but a 2150 can have a 2-stage or a single stage, and you might even find a 2-stage bowl with a single-stage power valve inside of it if someone's been in there and that's all they had available. But I think for the time being, that's all you need to really worry about. Is the 2150 has a flat back, 2100 has the horseshoe curved back on it. And other than that, I think the parts, you know, it's really not going to differ on your rebuild kit you get. And we'll talk about the 3 basic things you need to have information wise, or a picture, before you call up and order a carb kit, unless you have the identification plate that was on a screw on the top of your carburetor, and the fact that you trust that is the carburetor that this tag goes to. You know, with stuff floating around in junk stores and people moving stuff around, who knows what you really got. But there's 3 things that if you have those pictures, information, that you could call up any reputable carb company and they'll get you exactly what you need. So we're going to go ahead and get the 2150 off of the CJ5. We got to crack it open. It's been rebuilt. I rebuilt it last year, but having some issues. Not the carb's fault, it's probably mine. I don't use the little roller and measure the float, and I don't know if I put the right gasket on the power valve, so that could be leaking down. And I really don't know the symptoms of when you got too much jet in a carb, but I beat on that Jeep pretty good, and at higher RPMs it kind of breaks up a little bit, and I'm just wondering if I got too much valve in it, so or too much jet in it. So we'll crack it open. I think it had like 48s in it, and I might have went to 50s. Probably not an issue, but you know, we're gonna crack it open and see if that power valve's leaking by, or too much jet, or maybe the float set too high and stuff like that. So let's get to it. Here's a Motorcraft Autolite 2150 flat back. Motorcraft 2100 smiley face back. It's that simple. So this is a 1974 Jeep CJ5. It's got the AMC 304 V8. Let's use this ginormous wrench instead of the right tool. That's the right thing to do. The puppy's eating chickens. Not eating them. She's attacking them, chasing them around. That's good. Shut up, chickens! I use some gasola on this. And if you come to a point that you need to rebuild your 2100, 2150, a reputable carb company is going to have a gasket set that is a little bit different than what they used to have, and it'll deal with ethanol fuels, and they'll hold up a lot better. So that's another good thing. They might be a little bit more pricey. You could probably rebuild this thing through and through, everything, for $45 maybe in an hour of your time. I need to pay attention. Quit talking to you guys. Dual return springs. We'll take it. We'll take it. We have to mess with that choke. This particular carburetor, the choke pull down is heat from the intake on a tube that hits the choke itself. That works pretty good. I like it. I like it. Might as well get this cracked loose. While I'm over here, might need a socket. There's always that one stud that's hard to get to. Anyhow. Ah. Probably need to replace this vacuum line. How's the weather been where you guys are from? Because Ohio, we went like 3 weeks where we just couldn't get a drop of rain. And then all of a sudden we got all the rain. I think last weekend we got like 2 7/16 in like 2-3 days. Don't get me wrong, we needed it. And now it seems like we've had rain non-stop for half of June and first half of July. Some of the, woo. Yep, get it. The old neighbors blowing up some tannerite again. Good times. You can do what you want in America. America. Been a while since they done that. I was waiting for it. Here's that. Speaking of tannerite, I hope you guys had a very good and safe 4th of July. That ain't tannerite. They're just firing off some old shotguns. Typical Sunday afternoon around here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, a good 4th of July. I hate to be that guy, but did you know that it was actually July 2nd that the Continental Congress ratified and voted and approved and passed the Declaration of Independence. And I think it just kind of, the information leaked into the streets of Philadelphia when everybody started celebrating. And I think that's when John Adams famously wrote about, you know, for years to come, Americans will be celebrating that day with fireworks and all sorts of hooping and hollering and shooting guns into the air. And boy, was he correct. I could get the right tool, which would take me about 20 seconds, or I could spend the next 3 minutes using the wrong tool correctly, or the wrong tool incorrectly, or the something. I'll tell you what, them old boys do hit some tannerite, and I'm not seeing it coming. Yeah, it gets the blood pressure going. Not that I'm scared. Just catches you off guard. But I'll let you in a little secret. They're not very good shots. So you usually get a boom and a miss, and then you hear some laughing out in the fields, and then you hear another boom, and that's when you know. That's when you know that they got her. So loud it'll change a dog's personality. Not always for the better. I am curious what jets I put in this guy. And I do have some pretty detailed 2100, 2150 information for you guys. Do with it what you will. If I remember, talk about it. Get this on the workbench. Come on. Right side is I shouldn't have to mess with mixture screws, the idle circuit at all. That's dialed in and all that good stuff. But we can. Don't drop it. One of the pieces you're going to have to get, and it is part of, if I can, come on, I'm making a, without me destroying it. Oh yeah, is the base mounting gasket. You'll need that to figure out what you got. Let me go get all this fuel out of here. All right, first thing first, get the fuel out of there. I just held it over the driveway, and approved bucket, and actuated the throttle until the bowl was empty. All right, all you need to really do is get 4 screws and then the air cleaner stud. It's this one, one right there, one right there, and that stud should be a 1/2 inch, and the top cover comes right off. Because on me, I like to just go crack each one a little bit loose. These carburetors are, the housing's it's kind of its thing, like grandma's fine china that you use on Thanksgiving or something, and the center stud should be a half thereabouts. Guessing. Yeah. Everybody has their own way of organization. Some don't have any. A lot of times I just throw all the screws in a pile. Anyway, you can figure out for yourself what works, what doesn't. Okay, once you get those out, there's a bit of a trick with getting this choke linkage. Oh, there's a screw. Let's see if we can do this. There's a screw right there. Phillips. Pop you out. Lever off here that's on the, here's the choke shaft. This little lever, you just pop it off, rotate it. Yeah, just like that. That's what it looks like. Put that to the side, and then we're ready to lift the top of the car body off, and we're going to fish this rod that stays on the choke housing. We're going to leave it attached. So you're going to just pull this up and rotate it, and there's going to be a little plastic piece. You do it kind of gently so you don't tear that gasket, because I'm going to try to use it. If you're just doing a legit rebuild, you can just start tearing it apart since you're going to replace it. So you can pick this up, rotate it through there. There's your top half. There's really no parts there. And here's that plastic piece on the choke linkage, and the top body gasket, which I'm going to try to save on this guy if I can. The old razor blade trick once again. She might be reusable. I'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Alright, here's the meat and potatoes of your 2100, or this is a 2150. See, two-stage power valve. Anyway, float, needle and seat, venturis, emulsion tubes in there. I'll show you how to check those guys. And there's a check ball and a weight on top of that. Accelerator pump, power valve, we already talked about that. So now you got to this part, you can, a lot of times if it's an older carb, kind of, I don't know if I got a flashlight in here, take a look at the bowl, and if you can see any floaties or rust or garbage. This one looks pretty good because, you know, I rebuilt it. All right, at this point we're safe to go ahead and get the float out of there, which all you got, let's see, there's a clip right here that holds it onto the seat for the needle. You just clip that over, and your float should come out with the needle hanging from it. There's your float, and there's the needle, which are both new. Usually you would inspect your float for cracks, and you can, I don't know, put them in boiling water and stuff like that, or shake them around and listen for fuel sloshing, but I know that's new. Again, you get back in there and look for some dirt and debris. I know on this particular rebuild kit, the new seat came with a little filter that puts on the bottom, so that was a nice little added protection, and I know it's in there. But most importantly is I want to get these jets out to see what I have in there. Now the jets on the 2100, 2150, you can see are these two guys, your main jets, and they just take a decent sized flathead. Make sure you get the biggest one you can that fits snug, because they're kind of easy to strip out. That one goes. It's so humid out here, I need a life jacket. This one, it'll say, I think it says it on the side. Nope, I said it on top. These are 49s. I don't know if you can see that. It just says 49 there. I think sometimes they say them on the side. I don't know. And I've also taken carbs out that appeared to be factory, and it'd have like a 49 and a 48 or something. I don't know. See, I'm not too worried about these 49s because I think I took it apart with 48s. Anyway, let me find a flashlight. My phone will have to do. You want to check the jet for any obstruction, dirt, and debris down through those holes. If you can, there you go. You can kind of see the hole there. So make sure those are not blocked up or nothing. I've had it happen. Alright, next we're going to go ahead, well, I'll take the seat out for you just so you can see. This is the needle and seat assembly. Get them. Here's the seat. There's that little filter that came with this kit. And there's a gasket on there. So really when you go to take your carburetor apart, just go really slow. You'll be okay. Now, Venturi cluster. Take that screw out. Now you might get some of these 2100s and 2150s with springy things and a plate like this. It's an air diverter plate and stuff like that. You know, there's going to be some differences. So you're going to take this screw straight out, and that's what's going to have, well, you'll see inside of there, that's what a weight goes in, and it keeps a check ball. But I think, because I'm an idiot, I'm missing a gasket for that. I'll have to dig through my stuff. Anywho. Alright, we got that off. Now, I think you can pull your, nope. Oh, let's see here. I think we got to pull our idle circuit mixture. So you got a screw here and a screw here. Best practice is to gently screw them all the way in and count that. So what is that? 1, 2, half, 3. You don't want to torque them down, you just want to feel when they start to hit. So that was about 3. 1, with a screwdriver, folks. Alright. Good. Pull out those screws, and you're inspecting these for a ridge or a divot or a flat point where they've been running into the body of the carburetor, where they've been seating. The rebuild kit will not come with new ones, but if you take yours apart and notice you do need them, then not a big deal, maybe a couple bucks. Then take your cluster and emulsion tubes out. We'll talk about those in a second. And here is the only thing you don't really have to be careful, I guess, but there's a weight and there's a check valve in that hole, which you can just turn it over and catch it. Nothing fancy. Let's get some of this more. So now all we have left is accelerator pump, power valve. And I want to talk about the emulsion tubes. There's a gasket here that you'll end up replacing. These emulsion tubes can get, where's my little screwdriver? Can get cracks down them, real small cracks, and it kind of operates a lot like I don't know, say if you're drinking a drink out of a straw and the straw had a crack, like you're chewing on it or something, and you kind of were pulling in air while you were drinking, so it was pulling in air and a liquid. And you know, guys, you know what I'm talking about, just shut up. So if you see something like that, that's what you'll get out of your emulsion tubes. This is something that when spray it down with carbon choke cleaner and then blow it out really good with an air gun. Moving on to tools. I have tools. Let's do accelerator pump, because I really want to focus on my power valve. I think these are 1/4" screws, just like I did with the top of the body. I just cracked them loose. When you put this together, these are easy to strip out. Now, bit of a tricksy part. There's a pretty decent spring behind this cover, so you're gonna have to have your thumb on here when you get all these out. You can disconnect the linkage here at the throttle end, or you can just pivot this away. It can be a little bit tricky. We'll do it the pivot away style. I like to get top bolts out of the way so my thumb can be firmly on the accelerator pump cover when I work on the bottom ones. So now I can keep my thumb right there. Now these already crack loose, so I can kind of work quickly. Don't worry, the spring's not going to shoot away on you or hurt you or nothing, but you might lose it and it'll roll under the workbench. Alright, so you do the thing. You do the thing. It popped out. So there's your accelerator pump diaphragm. That's what tears and will leak externally. Here's your spring. Ta-da! And there's the flapper that you just pull through the inside, the diaphragm, I guess. Forget what those are called. Anyway, this we could just clean up and throw it back together. Wasn't really too concerned with any problems here. Now, power valve, this is why I'm here. They got some wonky gaskets on these from time to time for the valve. And if the gasket leaks by, I think it can drain back into the engine and kind of flood it out when it's parked, which is a symptom I've been having with this Jeep. And once I get this power valve bowl off, the bowl should not be wet. The power valve should not let fuel past it into the bowl. And it's bone dry. Okay. Well, I got a pile of parts. A couple things I want to do that I noticed I didn't do before. So I need to snip the, you don't have to, this rubber floppy floopy off that valve. Actually, I probably won't. I think you're supposed to, old school style, and maybe the float might come in contact with it. I could, doesn't matter. I keep a baggie of them in case I tear one. What else did I want to show you? Okay, since I'm not taking the power valve out, I don't want to deal with that gasket again, because apparently it's sealed. I was worried it wasn't going to seal. Here's a power valve. Get this. It'll thread in with a gasket, a little paper gasket that slides over top like this, and it cranks in there. There's a socket that'll fit it, or I was planning on using that big adjustable. But how a power valve works is when you getting on the throttle and high RPMs and you start to vacuum, or the engine vacuum starts to drop, these have numbers on them that'll tell you at what vacuum pressure it gives you an extra squirt of fuel. I don't know. But yeah, so when you're at lower vacuum, higher RPMs, the power valve will give you an extra squirt of fuel, and the two-stage power valve will have two readings where it'll give you extra fuel at a certain vacuum reading, and then even lower, maybe at like 1 or 2 inches of vacuum. You really won't notice much of a difference on just a everyday driver, but that's, you know, not that big of a difference. There's a two-stage power valve bowl. I don't think I got a single stage bowl, but they're just a little shallower. What else did I want to show you? When I took out the accelerator pump and the spring, I didn't take the diaphragm off. I didn't want to tear the gasket, but so far we are at, we can talk about the 3 things you need to order a carburetor kit. So take it off vehicle and you blow it apart. You just need a minimum of picture of the power valves, so they know if it's single stage or single stage or dual stage. You need a picture of the diaphragm, accelerator pump diaphragm, this part, which goes towards the arm. The accelerator pump arm pushes on this piston, and that's what actuates the diaphragm. And they have different thicknesses or diameters and depths and all that stuff, so you might need a measurement of that. You'll need, we already talked about, you'll need the mounting gasket to the engine so they know what you're dealing with. You'll need a diaphragm for the accelerator pump, a picture of the top gasket, because you'll have different holes and there'll be a hole there or no hole there or something like that, so you'll need this. And I guess the power valve helps you, but I think these are the 3 primary things: mounting gasket, the top gasket, and the accelerator pump diaphragm. And with just that information, you don't need an ID tag. a good carburetor guy is going to tell you exactly what kit you need. Well, let's see here. What am I doing here? I don't know. Ooh, got another one of these. Looks better than the one I just tore up, huh? We'll run it. But I'm looking for some stuff that I think I messed up. I think I need a seal for the top of that cluster, or the Venturi thingy screw. I don't know what this kit's for. Ooh. Here's the power valve, or the main jets I was running. 48s. I don't think these 49s are going to cause much of a difference. I'm just going to stab those back in there. That's when you get them all tore down, the accelerator pump and the power valve out. This is when you squirt the whole base down with a carb cleaner and blow out all the passages and all the circuits full of debris. I'm not doing that right now because this is pretty much a rebuilt carb. Gasket's a little torn. I'm gonna use it anyway, so I don't care. Because no matter how this pans out, probably gonna pull it off and try that other. Uh-oh, we got a little one. Try that other carburetor for fun. What?
I love you.
What?
I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Because you just saw me. I heard you just had a popsicle?
Hmm?
Did you have a popsicle? You didn't.
And then Mama, I can have one.
I bet you already had a popsicle.
What?
I'm willing to bet you already had one. Just a hunch.
Do you want one?
No. Oh, I did want to show you guys something. There's 3 holes on the side of this throttle linkage that goes to the accelerator pump arm, and a lot of guys wonder which one you go to. It's the middle one, or the second from the top. I guess there's 4. Don't quote me on it, but I think the very top one is for like extreme heat conditions, like desert stuff, and the very bottom one's for like Arctic conditions. So depending on your climate is where you adjust that linkage for your accelerator pump. And like I said, around here, you know, like 20-degree winters, you know, and so much noise over there. You know, maybe 90, 100-degree summers. I think second from the top's your best bet for a moderate climate. Here's a tip: don't crank down these carburetor mounting bolts and studs. They don't need it. They need like Just some love action, you know? Yeah, they're not a dolly tire that you just gotta run at home. Snug them down, it'll be fine. You can warp the body of the carburetor and then have a vacuum leak at the base. Seen that before. Messes the shaft bushings for the throttle blades and stuff up. And get vacuum leaks in those bushings. And those goats. Goats are doing stuff. We're breeding some goats right now. It's we're running a goat sex farm right now, and it smells something fierce. You know anything about goat bucks and the stuff they do to themselves and with lady goats? You'll lose sleep over it if you've seen it. The kids are feeding the goats right now, so they might simmer down. Why can't I do this? I had to rebuild your carburetor.
You mean the one I had a bloody nose all over?
Yeah. I'm just joking. Nothing you did. What are you doing, Walter?
Huh?
What are you doing?
I dropped the bolt for the chip trailer lid thingy.
And what?
I can't find it. It's in the grass, so I'm getting it out of them.
Hold on, I got a wing nut for you.
Is that one of the ones that's like a bolt and V-shaped?
Yes. Let me pause this and we'll get that wing nut. Did Walter feed chickens?
You working on it?
Is they're at laying siege.
You're always laying siege.
Okay. That's everything. I'm gonna expect it to have a long crank. Get the bowl filled up, and if it idles, we'll do idling things. No reason to pump the pedal. I'm gonna do. I don't even have the battery hooked up. What the kind of tomfoolery is this? Here's those summer and winter linkage settings, and on the accelerator pump, that lever goes on the inboard closest to the carb, not the outboard. So that's that. Again, it'll crank a while. No fuel in the bow. Give her a little 2-cycle help. Cause everybody needs a little 2-cycle oil help. Gasoline and all. Just right down. Oh yeah, that does it. Or I got the screws in too far for the idle circuit. leak right there. That's okay. We're all friends here still. Get out of here. Yeah. I already got fuel everywhere because of when I did the thing with the thing and dumped the 2-cycle thing all over the thing. We can get some brake clean and rinse it off a little bit. That way we can look for new and improved fuel leaks from the carburetor we just destroyed. Melly, it's not on fire yet. Another good way to look for vacuum leaks too. If you hear it pick up and idle on this brake clean, depends if you got the flammable stuff. What? Oh, you got a leaf on your nose. What?
It sounds like driving by it.
Yeah.
Can I hop in?
No, because you'll knock it in gear and kill us all. It's the idiot's guide to checking your fan clutch, right? Don't do that when it's hot, or if that clutch was bad and it was locked up, I would have lost my finger. But I figured if I lost my finger on YouTube, even if it got shared and I was an idiot, at least I got shared and people would like me, because that's how I care. Well, we'll get a vacuum gauge on it once it gets warmed up and operating temperature, and adjust the, well, idle circuits and the mixture screws. Well, actually, no, I can't even do that. It's fine. It's fine because it would have just not idled up. We'll let it get the operating temperature and try to do a hot restart and see what it does. But, you know, now I'm looking back on the video we just made. That was a horrible Motorcraft Autolite 2100 rebuild video because I really didn't do anything, because I just stopped because I didn't want to mess up a power valve gasket, or I didn't want to mess up, you know, take the accelerator pump diaphragm out. But, you know, maybe we'll get another one out of a junkyard and we'll rebuild it right there in the junkyard, just to show you guys that you don't need to be buying these, you know, $80 Amazon carburetors that may or may not work out of the box. I've heard success stories, I get it. But, you know, if a guy can, you know, go to the junkyard, take $10 bill, grab a carburetor that's not froze up. At least you're halfway there. If it's not froze up, it'll run one day, you know, and tear it apart, get some experience with it, order your kit. You know, I have no affiliation, but I use Mike's carburetor parts because he's just an old timer that's been building carburetors longer than my great grandma's been alive. And, you know, let me tell you something about my great grandma. She didn't celebrate Christmas. That's how old she is, because Jesus wasn't born yet then. you know. So Mike knows what he's doing, and you shoot him pictures and emails, he'll get you the kit you need with those parts I told you need to identify. You know, and that might cost you $35, $45 depending on your carburetor, and you get we did it, you know. I could take that thing off on the side of the highway and rebuild it if I had to. It's not a big deal, and there's value in that. So I encourage you to rebuild your old carbs, or go get an old carb, rebuild it, instead of buying one off of WuhanWrenches.com or whatever place they come from. But I don't know, I guess that's it for Route 40 Rust. Make sure you subscribe, follow, comment below. If I said wrong things, which I did, almost everything I said was wrong, you know, correct me. That's what it's all about, guys. For now, take care.